Om Shri Sadguru Mujiji Ki Jai. Om Shri Sadguru Anantaji Ki Jai. Welcome to the Advice channel. I've been reading from Rupert Spira, Presence, The Art of Peace and Happiness, Volume 1. And it's an exploration of direct experience. So I'll just read the bit on the back. Our self-aware presence knows no resistance to any appearance, and as such is happiness itself. Like the empty space of a room, it cannot be disturbed, and is therefore peace itself. Like this page, it is intimately one with whatever appears on it, and is thus love itself. And like water that is not affected by the shape of a wave, it is pure freedom. Causeless joy, imperturbable peace, love that knows no opposite, and freedom at the heart of all experience. This is our ever-present nature under all circumstances. Rupert Spira. I just want to check that everyone can hear. If you can't hear me, there's no one in Hangout, so can you just let me know via the YouTube chat that you can hear? Thanks. So we've got a few people joining us via YouTube. It's lovely to have you here, Father, Ananta, Dave, Gingerbeard, Olivia. These are people from the Sangha in Margate. So it's lovely to have you with us. We've been sharing in this truth. And Goville, thank you for joining, brother. It's lovely to have you here. So happy to have you here. And there's also some links to Google Hangout if you want to join here in Presence. But you're okay, you can stay on YouTube if you wish. Oh, just if you do come in the Hangout, just make sure you mute your microphone. Our self is birthless and deathless. If we stay close to our own being's experience of itself, without reference to thought, we discover that it has no knowledge of itself being born, evolving, growing old, or dying. Only an object, such as a body or a mind, could appear and disappear, or be subject to birth, growth, evolution, decay, and death. Our self-aware presence knows these changes, but is not itself subject to them. It is only thought, having exclusively associated our essential being with these appearances and changes, that has subsequently given rise to the belief and feeling that we share these qualities. These beliefs and feelings are so deeply ingrained and seem to have become such an integral part of our being that we are barely aware that they are, in fact, simply beliefs and feelings, and take them instead to be the absolute and undisputable truth about ourselves. These beliefs and feelings then become the basis upon which all subsequent thoughts and feelings and most activities and relationships depend. However, notice first that you are aware of the current thought, the current sensation, these words, perceptions of the world, etc. Was it not this same you that was aware of yesterday's thoughts and feelings? And was it not the same you that was aware of last year's thoughts, feelings, sensations, and perceptions, and the previous year, and 10 years ago, 20, 30? Was it not the same you that was aware of the very first sensation or perception you ever had, perhaps even in the womb? Were these known by someone else, or were they known by you, this very you that is seeing these words? And are you now the same you that you were then, or are you a different you? And if it was a different you that knew or experienced all those things then, how come this present you knows or remembers them now? When we refer to my first school, the my that we refer to is the very same me, the same self, to which your current thought belongs. Thoughts, feelings, sensations, images, memories, and perceptions change. But the self that knows or experiences them does not. Has our self ever registered any change in itself? And who is the one that would register such change? That one would be our changeless self. If we think that our self changes, that at one moment it is 5 years old, and at another 25, then the same self must have been present to know both the 5 and the 25-year-old. In other words, in order to legitimately claim the experience of change, we must first stand as the changeless knower of any such change. You are the one that registers the changes of the body, mind, and world, but never registers a change in yourself. You are ever present, objectless, aware presence that intimately pervades all knowing or experiencing. In fact, you are made out of pure knowing or awareness, and although changes may be registered by you, the light of knowing by which these changes are known, always remain the same. Just as the screen is always the same screen, and never itself undergoes any of the changes that the images which appear on it undergo. In fact, our self is not made out of pure knowing or awareness, like bread is made out of flour. Our self simply is that. But who is the hour in ourself? It does not belong to a body or a mind. The self belongs to itself. It is impersonal. The body and mind belong to it, but it does not belong to anyone or anything. In other words, it is the self, not our self. So again, in other words, it is the self, not our self. The self of aware presence is intimate but impersonal. I think it's a really beautiful distinction to make, where we just left off, that it's not our self, but it's the self. Even the term myself, it's like it's something that belongs to me, that's other than me. And these are the ways in which language really condition our experience and create this sense that there is a separation. So myself, our self, as though it's the object and not the subject. And the whole of language, really, the whole of the way in which we speak is in service, really, to the objectification of the self, and the story of me. So me becomes an I. Welcome, Licky. Welcome. So happy to have you here, brother.
I'm so happy to see you too. Thank you.
So if you want to come in at any time, Licky, when you sense it's appropriate, then just unmute your mic and you can speak. If something you feel to share from your heart, then by all means just speak.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah.
Thank you.
So I was just speaking about the ways in which we usually refer to the self that are in support, really, of overlooking the direct experience of what is. And so even in Advaita non-duality, self-inquiry, there is this kind of sense that you have to look for the self, you have to try and find the self. And I remember actually when I first found Muji on YouTube, and there was still this sense that I was looking for this object of consciousness, this, I had this image of pure consciousness, which was, kind of like this empty space without any thought. And so it was always a mind's image, a mental image that was trying to match up another mental image so that it could say, yes, I've got it. I'm there. I'm now pure consciousness. And actually, it was Rupert's work, reading Rupert's work, that there was a YouTube, very short one. It says everything announces awareness. Every appearance. And so this kind of search for a clear mind, experience without thought, without any noise, so that you flinch at any noise or flinch at any thought, admonish yourself for not finding the self. It was just seemed all to be nonsense. And so just like any image on the screen only reveals the screen, so any appearance, whether it be thoughts or an appearance, a visual perception, is just reveals this self, this impersonal self. And all these appearances are sensed, felt to be a colouring just of this self, which doesn't need to be prepared or cultivated. and can't ever be lost. Can't ever be found. Can't ever be seen. But can never be denied. Not truthfully, anyway. So it's recognised that quote of St. Francis of Assisi that Luigi often refers to is, what you're looking for is where you're looking from. Birth is a series of sensations and perceptions experienced by you. That you is not a sensation or perception. It knows all sensations or perceptions. The you that experienced those first sensations and perceptions is the same you that experienced the 5 and 25-year-old, and is the very same you that is aware of these words. If our self-aware presence was not present at the birth of the body, we would not be able to claim that it was born. The self that experienced the birth of the body was not born with it. It was already present when the body appeared, and hence we are able to say that the body appeared. It is only because thought imagines that our self-aware presence is the body that we think and subsequently feel that we were born when it was born. And for the same reason, we believe that we will die when the body dies. This belief is responsible for the fear of disappearance that lies at the heart of the separate, inside self that thinking imagines us to be. It is the first emotion to arise as a result of thought's exclusive association of ourself with the body, and is the dominating emotion that rules, more or less consciously, the life of the imaginary separate entity. Is it our experience that our essential self was born when the body was born? Were we not aware of the sensations and perceptions that accompanied this birth? Did we ever have the actual experience of our essential self, aware presence, being inside our mother's womb? Or were we aware of all the sensations of the unborn infant in the womb? Are we, aware presence, sitting in a room now, or are sensations and perceptions appearing to ourselves? And is that self not the very same self that was aware of the appearance of the body, that is aware of its disappearance in sleep every night, and will be aware of its final disappearance at death, and is now aware of these words? Have we changed and grown old as the body changes and grows old? Was it not our self, this very self that is present now, that was aware of the infant, the child, the teenager, and the adult in all their forms and throughout all their changes? When the body and mind disappear during sleep, does our self disappear? Who is present to witness such a disappearance? That one must be present and aware. Our self has no experience of its own disappearance. Who would be present to witness and claim such a disappearance? Only ourself. And if we claim that our self dies when the body dies, who is the one that knows or experiences that death? Is it not ourself alone that could make such a claim? If the death of ourself is a real experience and not simply a belief, then we must be there to know it and remain afterwards to claim that it has happened. In other words, the experience of death proves that we do not die, just as the experience of change establishes ourself as its changeless knower. And if there is no experience of the death of our essential being, why presume that it ever takes place? See clearly that we have no knowledge of ourself ever having been born, changing, evolving, growing up or growing old, and that we can never have the experience of death. Nor have we, aware presence, ever become sad, angry, anxious, depressed, in need, agitated, jealous, etc. At the same time, we are intimately one with all such feelings when they are present, although we are the substance of all such feelings, just as the screen is the substance of all images. We are inherently free of them. Unhappiness is made out of ourself, but ourself is never unhappy. The belief that we were born, that we change, evolve, grow old, and die, is simply a belief to which the vast majority of humanity subscribe, without realizing that they are doing so. It is the religion of our culture. We normally think that to be born, change, evolve, grow old, and die is our experience, and that to consider ourselves without birth or death is some sort of extraordinary experience, usually requiring religious belief. However, the opposite is in fact true. We have no knowledge or experience of the birth, change, evolution, or death of our essential self. And yet we subscribe to what is, in fact, simply a belief in our own mortality. Of course, the body and the mind appear and disappear. As such, they are born and die. It is only because of thought's inadvertent and exclusive identification of our essential self with these, that is, with thoughts, feelings, images, memories, sensations, and perceptions, that we think, and more importantly feel, that when they go, I will go. This belief in our own mortality is the fundamental presumption upon which most other beliefs and feelings, and subsequently our activities and relationships, are based, and turns out to be the source of all psychological suffering. The fear of disappearance or death is, in fact, the primary emotion dominating the life of the imaginary entity that results from the exclusive association of ourself with the body or mind. In fact, most feelings of sadness, anger, anxiety, depression, lack, psychological need, agitation, jealousy, etc., are simply modulations or variations of this essential fear of disappearance or death. It is for this reason that when the true nature of our essential being becomes clear, all these feelings are gradually cleared up. The belief upon which they depended has been seen through. So it's never the experience of the self, this aware presence, that it's moving or changing, but it's exclusive identification with a story of change. So the idea of me, having been a child, moved on to primary school and secondary school. It's an identification with the story, seeing oneself as that story. And then the interaction with others based upon that story. That gives this sense of change over time. And causes us to overlook what is actually here. And what is actually here when there's no story? And it can seem quite difficult because that story can be very strong. It may take some time, in quotation marks, to conventionally speaking, but the belief, Rupert talks about the belief, but also the feeling, because this story of me kind of can lay down feelings, deeply ingrained feelings, identifications. But what is actually here when there's no story? What is this you without story? This is what Advaita is about. Satsang. Satsang with Ananta, satsang with Ruchi. And the many speakers really communicating about this is about what's actually here, what's real. And so the belief that many people never question is that we're born, we evolve, we grow, we change, we die. But when you actually take a look and ask, well, what is this you that supposedly is born, grows up, goes to school, primary school, secondary school, work, marriage, That's all part of the story, and it can still play. The story can still play. But what about the self in which all that story takes place? Does that self, the self that is here now, hearing these words, experiencing sound, sensation, maybe thoughts, does that ever experience itself changing, evolving? Could it experience its own death? Some people talk about these out-of-body experiences. So, yeah, I could see myself on the operating table. The doctors all around me and pumping my chest. But what is this self that's knowing that? So that would only kind of suggest that maybe the body is not the essential self. When the body disappears in sleep, does the self disappear? Or just the appearance of body appears in that same self as we wake? Everything appears within the self, aware presence. The sensations and the visual image that we refer to as body appears within the self. The story of me that is growing and changing and evolving is born, dies, taking place in that unchanging aware self, aware presence. There's no one that has to do this aware presence. There's no one that has to do it. There's not someone sitting here going, must be aware presence, must be aware presence. There's even the one that feels that they need to do that is taking place in aware presence. There's no one pruning this aware presence.
Can I just say something?
Yeah, please do.
I do feel that we indulge ourselves in this illusion that we are a me in this body that keeps it going and going, and we enjoy it so much, and we forget ourselves, and then we suffer it, and then you remember, oh my god, but it's I should go back. Well, what happened? Well, I am again, and you just back into the circle. But you have to go through it. From my experience, I say I went through it many times, and I can see how you can indulge yourself into it, and how easy it is to believe that you're the body, and it matters a lot to your conditioning here. How much you're attached to your body, how strong the personal relationship with your body and your mind is. And once you see this, you just like you leave them alone to be themselves. Like you leave the mind alone, you leave the body alone. You see that you have no idea how to care for them or to stop them or to anything. It's just there was just an idea that you knew how to take care of your body, or you knew when the pain came. It's like when you have this massive headache, when you just don't rush to the medical cabinet and get an aspirin to get rid of it. If you stay with it and you just sit with it, you just feel that everything else that you know as your body disappears, and it's just that pain, which highlights areas of what the body. But it's not your body. You see, it's not your body. It's not your pain. All this pain, it just helps. It's just a mirror. It just shows that you are not this. Everything shows you that you're not this. Use it. Use it to see it, and then you can just, something will come up, and you will say, yeah, do this, take that, take that. You listen to it. It speaks in a language that it's just it. All this is it. It's a dance, and you cannot do a wrong move. You cannot take a wrong step. You cannot step on someone's toes in this dance. You just cannot do it. It's just impossible. You were never taught this dance, so you cannot forget it. Thank you.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Atma. I was wondering who joined us. It's one of the moderators, so Atma's here with us. Can't see your picture, Atma. It's lovely to have you here.
But I'm here.
Yeah, you're here. It's I think it's really helpful to come to the recognition that it's not my awareness. Going back to what Rupert was saying in the previous sort of section, this sense of my awareness, as though there's me and awareness. Like awareness is something that I can have, I can own, I can claim. It's something that even when you're first introduced to this, there's this, certainly how it was happening here was there was this sense that it was my awareness, my consciousness, and I will get to it and I will purify myself and I'll come to this pure consciousness through my own effort. But it's all the play, all the dream happening within what's already here. Or it's this aware presence that's playing as that dream, playing as that movie. That then there's exclusive identification with aspects of that story. And then comes suffering. But it's all this alive nothingness. Everything that's apparently seen, apparently heard, is only this alive nothingness. We leave all the labels and assumptions about any of this appearance to have some independently existing existence. You see that it can only be this alive nothingness. And you leave all stories and just be really, really truthful about what's here. But any label, really, any name, really can't describe. How can I explain? So there's no one being silent here. Silence is. That's what's most truthful to say. Silence is. Because this I am being silent is a story. So silence is. There's no one being aware. No one being aware here. Awareness is because the description I am being aware is a reference to a story appearing in awareness. But it's not separate from that awareness, it's a colouring of that awareness. Again, we're using terms, but I think I'm going to have to go now. I'd love to stay here all evening. I've got interesting things like ironing my clothes for work tomorrow. The story still plays. The story still plays. But there's no one doing it. It just plays. Is there anything that anyone felt to say before we end the broadcast? You don't have to.
Yes, I know, but when you said that the story still plays, yes, it plays and you enjoy it more. It's more enjoyed because there's no personal relationship to the moments that come. It's just as they come, and it's there's no words you can put to them. It's like it is as it is, and only you will know in that moment when it happens, as it comes out of you to answer to that or to whatever it is. Only you will know that. Doesn't mean that the story needs to end, or no. It's even more enjoyed. It becomes your mirror in a way. You, everyone you meet, and you see that if there's no me inside you, there's no me inside anyone else. And it's just it's just it's indescribable, really. And the moment you see it getting personal in a way, it's just don't fight it. Just let it just come and go. You'll see that it just comes and goes, and that's it. There's no need to make any notes on that. Just leave it. There's no need. Yeah. Thank you so much for the links and for this opportunity to listen to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Livy. Atlas just said she came late. Don't know what you were speaking before, but I feel very connected now. Yeah. Livy was on the. Is it okay to say, Livy?
Sorry?
Livy, I was just saying that Livy was on the Sabre team with me at the Muji Intensive in November, last November. So that's where we met.
Still, I don't understand.
Okay.
What were you speaking about? I felt like the moment I came, I felt immediately connected in the space, in this space. So I don't know, something has like brought me here. So it doesn't matter what you were speaking about. It's always about presence and consciousness and awareness anyway. Thank you. Thank you, and thank you for the beloved, for his sharing.
Okay. I'm going to end the broadcast. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being here as this presence. Thank you to this presence. Om Shri Sadguru Mujijiki Jai. Om Shri Sadguru Anandajiki Jai. Sangajiki Jai.
David Jiki, Jay.